On our broadcast tonight, dire warning. The prediction tonight that climate change could destabilize human society. The American cities under threat, along with food and water supplies. Good evening. The world has never been spoken to quite this way. We've never been warned like this before, all of us, about climate change, nor have so many countries agreed quite this much on the clear and present danger it represents. Here is the takeaway. Unless the world changes course quickly and dramatically, the fundamental systems that support human civilization are at risk. This is all coming from the UN, and the evidence is convincing enough, in part because so many nations have agreed with these findings, that it will hit home across this country, especially in those population areas where people may need to be on the move faster than they first thought.
Right, we all got to get out of here. That's Brian Williams. Welcome to Give Me 5. That was when the report was released by the White House back on March 31st. But listen to this admission by Brian Williams on May 22nd, I believe, talking about hurricanes, when the government predicted how many hurricanes they expect. And listen to what he talks about, the art of predicting. Go.
Overall, they're predicting 8 to 13 so-called named storms, with somewhere between 3 and 6 of them developing into hurricane strength. 1 or 2 hurricanes they predict will be major, meaning Category 3 or above. But as you know, it is always the case in the inexact business of any forecast beyond 5 days. We shall see.
Wait a minute. You're telling me it's inexact after 5 days? And you're scaring us with this White House report that the world's over in like 20, 40 years? But you're admitting they can't predict beyond 5 days? Brian, do you realize what you just said? And Brian has habitually been an alarmist on global warming. You know that. Our old friend, the late Noel Shepard, I can't believe I'm saying that, talking about a snowstorm that he blamed on global warming. Watch.
The out east said the same thing about this freak snowstorm. This kind of thing didn't used to happen. This never happened before. And while that is true, it may also be true that we'll all have to start getting used to this kind of thing over the long haul. That story tonight from our chief environmental affairs correspondent, Ann Thompson.
All right, so, this sort of thing never happened before. We never had snowstorms. We never had freak snowstorms. In the early 80s, mid-80s. Yankee opening day was snowed out for a week in April, middle of April. That was 30 years ago, when they were still predicting the Ice Age. This is insane. Here's more from that report.
Around the world, it seems like the weather is going to extremes. Not just the Halloween snowstorm in the Northeast, but record-breaking flooding in Thailand. 1,400 new highs hit in the U.S. just in the month of July. Moscow reaching 101 degrees in the summer of 2010. Heated wildfires consuming southern Australia in 2009.
This is the future, and we're already experiencing climate change.
All right, that was back in 2011, by the way. And let me see, by my calculation, 2.5 years later, we're still here. I don't see the water. Now listen how Brian comes out of that report by Ann Thompson.
Today, no one can deny that extreme weather is here to stay. Brian?
All I know is this didn't happen when we were kids. Ann Thompson on the change in our weather.
It didn't happen when we were kids, and even if that were true, so what does that mean? What does that mean it didn't happen when we were kids? It's just insane. But Brian has always been an alarmist. Let me take you to this. Let's put this up if we can. Here, talking about tornadoes. Now, this is the next cut. It's a screen grab. And Brian Williams wonders if tornadoes caused by something we have done. He says, let's be candid here. When you and I go home, you see friends and family, you get email from people you know. People ask the same question, what's going on here? Is this something we've done? What has happened to the climate? Because it seems so much of what we cover is relentless weather-related tragedy. Oh my goodness. And the same man, just the other day, the purpose of this Gimme 5 was Brian said, talking about predicting hurricanes, predicting beyond 5 days is very iffy. But Brian knows the long-distance future. You tell me.